The space station floated in the vast blackness of the galaxy, a silent speck against an infinite void. A crew of 3 astronauts drifted effortlessly through the narrow corridors of the space station. They had all been working together for years and had built a trust and camaraderie with each other that was essential for missions in space. They had formed an unconditional bond between themselves. Their training consisted of rigorous physical activities and thought-provoking brain games to keep their mind and body in peak condition. They also performed many team-building exercises that helped them bond. Outside of their demanding training, they spent most of their off time together as well. They were all a very close unit. This particular mission was expected to run for 9 months, where they were to focus on keeping several species alive, including frogs, mice, and a cat. They also were to keep several plants and flowers alive and attempt to grow fruits and vegetables with artificial lights. In addition to the mission, they needed to maintain the station and keep a constant watch on their life support systems. Captain Henry secured himself to a handrail with his foot straps, carefully adjusting the delicate monitoring equipment for the onboard greenhouse. Small pouches of lettuce and tomato plants floated in their designated slots, their roots nestled in nutrient-rich gel. The artificial sunlight panel above them cast a soft golden glow, simulating the conditions of Earth's daylight. Henry tapped a tablet screen, logging the latest growth measurement. Across the module, Lieutenant Jenna Mills checked on the station's small group of research mice. Their enclosure lined with tiny handhelds that allowed them to navigate in zero gravity. The rodents had adapted surprisingly well, their bodies learning to propel themselves with careful kicks against the walls of their habitat. Mills tapped the enclosure, watching as one mouse sniffed curiously at the movement. She smiled, noting its behavior before floating over to retrieve a food pellet from a vacuum-sealed container. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Xavier worked near the airlock, checking oxygen levels for their tanks and adjusting the carbon dioxide scrubbers. Routine maintenance was crucial. Even a minor system failure could turn the station into a death trap. As he secured a loose cable with a Velcro strap, a faint vibration ran through the station, caused by a supply drone docking with the exterior airlock. Xavier radioed in confirmation, already preparing a suit for retrieval. It was just another day in orbit, where life continued in slow rhythmic patterns suspended between the stars, until the station's control panel began to alert of an antenna malfunction.
We're losing signal strength. The antenna must have broken when the drone was docking. We need to get it fixed now, before we lose our communication with Earth.
Lieutenant Mills volunteered herself to fix it and immediately began suiting up for the spacewalk. She had done this countless of times during simulations. Check the equipment, secure the harness, and step outside the station. The vastness of space always unnerved her, but she pushed it aside to focus on the task at hand. The crew watched as she floated out, tethered to the station by a thin silver line. Red 2, this is Red 1. Comms check.
Red 1, this is Red 2. Read you loud and clear.
Red 2, Red 1. Everything is sounding good on our end. Your tanks are showing stable, and we can see you clearly. Send a sit rep every 5 minutes, how copy?
Red 1, Red 2. Good, copy.
Jenna moved carefully along the side of the station. Her gloved hands gripped the rails. She reached the antenna.
Red 1, Red 2. I'm at the antenna.
Red 2, Red 1. Everything is still looking good. You may proceed, but take it slow. We don't want any accidents. The earth was spinning slowly below her as she began to work. She drifted weightlessly, tethered to the station by her thin lifeline, as she carefully adjusted the damaged antenna. For a moment, everything was calm. Each movement was slow and deliberate. Her breath echoed in her helmet, and the soft hum of her suit's life support system was like mediation for her nerves. Until a loud ping rang and echoed through her helmet, a sound that shouldn't exist in the vacuum of space. Her tether snapped, whipping past as she twisted helplessly into the void, her gloved hands grasped at nothing, her fingers closing on empty space as the station drifted further away. Panic surged and her breath grew more rapid, fogging the visor.
Red 2, Red 3, what's happening out there?
My tether! It snapped. I can't. I'm drifting away.
Use your jetpack.
I can't. It's not working.
Inside the station, the crew scrambled, desperately trying to find a way to reel her back in. But Jenna was already too far, her body spinning in slow, sickening circles.
Stay calm, Jenna. You have to stay calm. We'll figure something out.
Her breath quickened and continued to fog the inside of her helmet. She could see nothing but endless black. Her oxygen gauge blinked yellow. Her air supply was running out. She tried to control her breathing, but the cold realization of her fate began to set in. Jenna, can you hear us?
Yes.
Captain Henry began to suit up. He could still see a soft glow of her helmet light. I'm going to go get her.
Sir, it's a death mission.
We can't just leave her out there. Minutes passed, each one dragging her further into isolation. Her body floated through the void, a lone speck in the cosmos. The station was no longer visible. She was utterly alone. Her oxygen gauge blinks yellow as she felt a sudden jolt disrupting her spiral. Captain Henry reached out and grabbed Lieutenant Mills and pulled her in as close to his body. Okay, pull us back, Red 3. I've made contact with Red 2.
Negative, Red 1. Do you think that a braided steel tether would just snap all of a sudden? I made sure it did.
What are you talking about?
I'm sorry, sir, but I can't bring you back.
Red 3, stop playing around and bring us back now. That is an order.
No.
Xavier, bring us back. Red 2 can't make it out here much longer. This is an order.
I've been writing a book for over 2 years. I survived Operation Home Guardian. In it, I am the sole survivor of a mission gone wrong. The crew is lost in space, and their bodies could not be retrieved. I tried to sell the idea to a publisher already, but they said it was a hard concept to sell as a fiction novel. I really need the money, Henry, and I fell in love with the idea of being a published author. You know me, bro. I can't give up on my dreams. I don't know how to be a quitter. If they can't sell it as a fiction novel, then it will be told as a first-hand account. It'll be a #1 bestseller. Don't worry, I'll be sure to say how brave you both were. But this mission can only have one survivor. Red 1, Red 3. Over and out.
You cannot be serious. Xavier. Xavier, please don't do this. Don't do this. But there was no response. Jenna sobbed and began to hyperventilate. Calm your breathing. As her breathing began to calm, the realization started to set.
Can you please tell me a story? I don't know what to do. I'm trying to stay calm. Please, can you tell me a story?
Captain Henry let out one big sigh as he began telling her a story that his mother told him while she was in the hospital when he was just a child. There's a place far beyond the edges of the world where a great river flows. It's not like the rivers you have seen on Earth, rushing with noise and turbulence. This river is quiet, smooth as glass, carrying only the soft whispers of the wind as it moves through a valley of endless twilight. There's no pain here, no weight to carry. The air is cool and filled with the scent of flowers that do not grow anywhere else. Their petals glow faintly, casting a golden shimmer on the water. People say that when a soul is ready to rest, they find themselves standing at the river's edge. There's always a boat waiting, its wooden frame worn soft by time, as if it has carried 1,000 souls before. The boat never rocks, never drifts away, only waits with patience. And then a voice, gentle and familiar, calls from the other side, filled with warmth, like the feeling of coming home after a long journey. Sometimes it is the voice of a mother, long lost, but never forgotten. Sometimes a friend, but it's always someone who loves you. The river doesn't rush. It allows time for the traveler to breathe, to look back at the life they are leaving behind. Some hesitate, not out of fear, but out of love. For those still on the shore, still holding on, the river is patient. It knows that love does not end, even when we step onto the boat. And when you are ready, you will take your seat, hands running over the smooth wood, feeling its quiet strength. The boat pushes off with no need for an oar, guided only by the gentle current and a soft breeze. As it drifts, the river widens, the twilight growing softer, the golden light stretching further into the sky. The air hums with something unspoken. Joy, peace, the quiet laughter of unseen voices waiting just beyond the mist. You won't need to look back anymore. You won't feel the weight of what was left behind, because love does not stay in one place. It moves with you, flowing with the river, and carrying with it the wind. And as the boat glides forward, you'll breathe deep one last time, filling your lungs with the cool, sweet air. The shorehead glows like the first light of morning, warm and welcoming. You are not afraid. You are not alone. You are home. She stared out at the vast emptiness, her breathing shallow, her vision blurring as her air supply dwindled. Jenna's final breath slipped from her lips as the stars swallowed her whole, lost in the eternal, cold embrace of space. No one would find her. She had become another ghost in the cosmos, drifting forever in the dark. As Jenna Mills' lifeless body was pressed up against Captain Henry's body, he tied her straps to his suit so that even in death, they would never be alone. With over half a tank of air still left, he contemplated taking his helmet off. Captain Henry shifted his body ever so slightly, the motion setting him adrift, with Jenna's lifeless form strapped to him like a grim shadow. Her visor reflected the faint glow of distant stars, but her face beneath it was still frozen, in a kind of peace that Henry envied. The darkness of space was like anything he had ever known. It wasn't just the absence of light, it was the absence of everything. No sound, no scent, no air. Just an all-encompassing void that pressed against his suit, against his mind, as if the universe itself was swallowing him whole. Behind him, Earth was nothing more than a faint glow he couldn't see. It existed now only as a memory, a place he had once called home, but would never return to. Ahead, the stars stretched endlessly, indifferent and unreachable, each one a cold pinprick in the abyss. The blackness between them felt alive. The tether that connected him to Jenna felt heavier with every passing second, though he knew it wasn't possible. In weightlessness, there should have been no strain, no burden, but the psychological weight was unbearable. He had refused to let her float away, refused to let her become one with the abyss. But now he wondered if that had been selfish. Was this for her or him? Jenna's body swayed slightly as they drifted, her motion amplifying his own. It was a cruel mimicry of life, as though she might wake up at any moment, glance at him, and smile. But she never would. The tank indicator blinked faintly on his HUD. Oxygen, 58%. The silence was the worst of it. His breathing was the only sound, amplified in his helmet like a metronome counting down his life. Every inhale seemed to echo louder, as if space itself was mocking him. He tried to focus on the sound, to remind himself he was still alive, but with the knowledge of each breath was depleting his precious oxygen, turned the sound into something grotesque. He thought of calling out, knowing there would be no answer. Hello? His voice cracked in the stillness, swallowed instantly by the vacuum. It was pathetic, laughable even. Who was he expecting? God? Some distant alien savior? Lieutenant Xavier? Time felt meaningless. There was no sunrise or sunset, no rhythm to mark the hours. He couldn't tell if minutes or hours had passed since the tether had snapped. The only certainty was the dwindling oxygen and the weight of Jenna's body. His mind wondered, what if I let her go? What if he unhooked the tether, just to see her drift into the endless black? The thought brought bile to his throat, a surge of guilt that churned in his stomach. "I'm sorry, Jenna," he whispered. "I didn't want this. I will never let you go." Space wasn't just dark. It was oppressive. The stars, though beautiful, they offered no comfort. They were too far away, too unreachable. The blackness wasn't just a void. It was a canvas for his fears, his regrets. Every shadow seemed to shift. Every glint of light felt like a trick of the eye. He imagined shapes forming in the black, things he couldn't name. Perhaps the universe was alive after all, and it had been waiting for him. He closed his eyes, but the darkness behind his lids were no different. He was alone. The oxygen gauge blinked again. Oxygen. 31%. Would it hurt? The question hung in his mind like a parasite. Would taking his helmet off be painful, or would it be quick? He had been trained for this after all. The vacuum would pull the air from his lungs in seconds. Hypoxia would set in, and then nothing. No more breathing, no more fear, no more guilt, no more anger. But Jenna, could he leave her like this? A lifeless sentinel, strapped to his suit, her body condemned to drift for all eternity? His hands hovered near the helmet's release mechanism. It would be so easy. Just a flick, a twist, and the silence would be absolute. No more waiting, no more counting breaths. But his fingers trembled, and he hesitated. What if there was something after this? What if he saw Jenna again? Or worse? The oxygen gauge blinked once more. Oxygen. 10%. His breaths were shallow now, his vision dim. He clutched Jenna's tether tightly, as if she might float away, even now. The darkness was no longer terrifying. It was welcoming. He could hear his own heartbeat slowing, feel his body succumbing to the cold silence. "I'm sorry," he said, and then a single tear fell down his cheek as he reached up to the helmet's release mechanism.